How's it? Surprise sort of live show. Um, Coming at you here on Monday, February 13th. This live show is open for anybody and everybody. Whatever games that you guys want to talk about, we can talk about it. Let me tell everybody that we are now live now. We are live on the Doc Sports YouTube channel, open to anyone. We will talk about whatever games you'd like to talk about that is on the docket today that is not on our premium cards. All right. So go ahead and shoot me what games you guys want to talk about, and we will discuss them. And hey, yeah, W, good to see you, man. Hawks versus Hornets, sure. So as far as the Hawks versus Hornets game, let's see here. We have Andy, I can't talk about the UNC Miami game because that's actually our premium selection, so I can't really talk about that game. But I will tell you what I think about the total for that game, for what it's worth. But as far as the Hawks versus the Hornets here, you have an Atlanta team that lost to this team by 4 points earlier, just not too long ago, only 3 weeks ago. And then the Hawks roll into this game, beating San Antonio and beating Phoenix, covering both those games. They have New York on deck. Was still one game above 500. If you looked at the Hawks game team, obviously they were able to swing a pretty big deal, pretty big trade in their last contest. Young and Murray and Collins and Herter and Capella. I mean, this team is actually really, really good. They just have to live up to their expectations. Charlotte comes into this game losing by 14 to Denver. And they have San Antonio. I'm a little surprised that this line is only 5.5. You would have thought that they would have been better. Bay is listed as a coach's decision. This total went up, it's around 239, 241. I actually like the over in this game just because the Hawks are such a public team after that trade. It's kind of scary to take them because they are such a public team right now. So that's the reason why that kind of, gives me room to pause. But what I do like is game number one. I like the Hawks and the Hornets lean on the over. I think the Hornets can be an active dog. I think the Hawks with Bay in the lineup will be even more fast-paced. But more importantly, Hawks have revenge. However, the line is only 5.5 points here, so it makes me think that the Hornets will be active underdogs as well, and therefore lean on the over. Decent public fade as well. All right, moving on here. And Andy, again, our premium selection today is on that UNC Miami game, so I can't give you the side. What I can tell you is that, that total jump from 153.5 to 156.5. And most Miami games are around the mid 140 range, and most UNC games are around the mid 140 games as well. I think this actually game goes over the posted total. I'm not telling you what I think about the side because that's for our Docs Premium clients. It's for purchase right now. But game number two, UNC Miami lean on the over. I think UNC is going to be ticked from the 30 plus loss, from the 30 plus point loss to Miami last year. I think Miami is suspect on defense, top 125 defense, and UNC needs a big effort at home against a top 25 team. Like this game to go over. All right, moving on here. Game number three. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. Glad I'm feeling better as well. Game number three, Spurs Cavs. So the Spurs Cavs, it's crazy, right? Cavs are favored by 15. Total is only 224. Public's on the over in this game. Can the Spurs be an active underdog? Spurs have now lost over 10 straight covers, so they look like they're in full tank mode. Lost to the Lakers, the Clippers, Phoenix, Washington, Sacramento. The funny thing is this is one of the lowest totals they've had over the last 10 games, which is wild. The Cavs, of course, held Chicago to 89 points. They have now covered 6 in a row. So after a little scuffle they had, they beat Memphis, right, in that scuffle. And the Dylan Brooks thing, they come out and they, support their star. They beat Indiana. They beat Washington, Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago. They're just locking down on defense. If anything, I sort of lean on I think the Cavs probably destroy them. I mean, I know this is a huge line here, but I don't see this getting any better. San Antonio lost by 19 to the Hawks. They lost to the Pistons. They lost to Toronto. This can get ugly. So I do lean on, but if I typically lean favored and under. So I would say is Cavs Spurs. First lean is on the Cavs. Second lean is on the under. Sort of feel the same about this game all the way through. By the way, if you missed some of the games we talked about earlier, don't worry because I've written down in text format what the actual thoughts are. So you can just go back and read it through. And there's a live chat replay on this as well. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoy the content. It's free for everybody. So just decided to jump on today and do it. Maybe we'll do it once a week, free for everybody. We'll see. But sort of feel the same way about this game all the way through. If I had to pick a side, I would not mess with the total as much. For the total, lean on the Cavs personally. I think the line is 15 for a good reason. I do think the Spurs will cover against Dallas. Against Dallas 2 games from now. All right. That was game number 4, I believe. Hey, G-Man, good to see you. By the way, Rob, Karan, Kim, Andy, yeah, W, good to see all you guys. So what are we sitting here game? That was game number 3. Let's go to game number 4 here. Let's talk about Prairie View. Prairie View, 4.5-point dogs against Grambling, 9-16 team against a 16-8 team. Prairie View won by 1 point early this year, so it's Grambling, the 16-8 team, that has the revenge. It's interesting. Why is that line closer to like 7.5, given how much they're winning? Grambling comes into this game again 16-8, 9-3. Been doing really well, but Prairie View's power rankings is quite good. By the way, Grambling beat Vanderbilt on the road. They beat Colorado too, so they're a pretty good team. But this is a Prairie View team coached by Byron Smith, who won 8 games last year, 16 games the year before. He's been coaching there quite a long time. This team only lost to Washington. They beat Washington State by 11. They lost to Texas A&M by 20. They lost to Northwestern by 10. Coming off a loss to Southern. Can they hang tough here? What does Prairie View do well? They do well on defense, right? I'm really surprised this line is only I'm really surprised this line is only 5.5. Quite surprised here. So, I actually think that God, wow. I mean, why isn't this line bigger? If you go back and look at the let me see something here. Prairie View, 5-point dog, 5.5-point dog at Texas Southern, and they ended up winning outright. Do they really beat this team twice in a row? Prairie View has won this game the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So yeah. So game number 4, I am going to take Prairie View. Lean Prairie View plus the 5.5 over Grambling. They have beaten them the last 8 times. Fantastic public fade. Obviously, Coach Byron Smith knows what Grambling runs. I think Prairie View, with a top 125 defense, can hang tough here, even though Grambling has revenge. It's not something I normally do. I don't normally ride the team with revenge, but I think this game is slightly different. By the way, 2 games on YouTube Premium. Be sure to check it out. YouTube Premium is our teaching channel. It's just like this. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you join. Get 2 extra thoughts every single day. Moving on, Rob is asking about Duke Notre Dame tomorrow. This will be on our card somehow. Either it'll be a free selection, a premium selection, or on YouTube Premium. Line is 12.5. Duke beat this team by 14 last time. It is a big line. Let's see here. By the way, I'm going to stop this at about 15 minutes, maybe. Okay, I don't like to go more than that. Try to get to about 5 to 7 games, or else it just becomes too much. So as far as Duke is concerned here, they have Syracuse on deck, but they come off back-to-back losses to Virginia and to Miami. This team hasn't lost by 3 all year. They're 8-6 in conference play. They beat North Carolina by 6 at home. They beat Wake Forest by 2 at home. They haven't really blown out anybody, but they did blow out Georgia Tech on the road, but they haven't blown out anybody at home. And then you get Notre Dame rolling in here, who has lost to Virginia Tech. It was a pretty good team. They lost to Georgia Tech. They lost to NC State by 3, so they've consistently covered. I think a lot of people are going to take the points, and I think Duke is going to kill them. So I lean on Duke here. So Duke, Notre Dame, lean on Duke. Minus the 12.5 is what I see now. They have lost back-to-back game. Team really needs to step up. Last time that happened, they crushed Georgia Tech. They are well aware that Notre Dame lost by a few points to Buck Tech last game on the road. I think Duke shows up because they have not lost 3 in a row all year. Glad to see you back in the saddle. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it, man. Do you keep track of your daily free pick record? Yes, we do. We do. And we try to post the best runs we can possible. And we try to tell people, yeah, we've been doing it for 19 years. So sometimes we're running hot, sometimes we're not running hot, but we try to keep a track of it. I think long term, we're like 56% for 19 years, which is pretty good. Trailblazers, Lakers, Chad McKee. Thank you for all your work, sir. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. How's it? Any value in American? Yes, Neil, that was actually on our card, and then I took it off. But I do like American a decent amount over. They're not playing Bucknell, though, are they? American's playing somebody else, right? Oh, they are playing Bucknell. Yeah, I like American, and that's because I think even though Bucknell has, American has revenge coming in. They come off back-to-back losses, and that's why they're favored. And yeah, I like. I'll talk about that game in a second. What game was that? This was Duke versus Notre Dame was game number 5. So game number 5 was Duke Notre Dame, and those thoughts are above. Okay, so moving on here. Chad asked about game number 6, which is Portland and the Lakers. And then I'll talk about the American game, and then we'll call it a day, unless something jumps out at me with anything you guys said, okay? So this American game, I had looked at it earlier, nearly pulled the trigger on it, and then I just felt like there's some other games that we can do instead of that. But American, at the end of the day, American's a top 10 effective field goal team. They're top 10 in 2-point field goals. They come off back-to-back losses. They lost to Bucknell by 7 early this year. Bucknell is one of the worst defensive teams in the country, but they too come off back-to-back losses. And the only thing that kind of scared me off was the fact that Bucknell nearly beat Navy on the road, but I do think American is the right play because they're such a better offensive team. So game number 6, American Bucknell. Lean on American, decent public fade. American is a top 10 effective field goal percentage team, top 10 3-point, top 10 2-point field goal team. And Bucknell is one of the worst defenses in America. Therefore, lean on American. Game number 7, Lakers Blazers, is the game that Chad talked about. So in this Lakers versus a Blazers game, by the way, if you missed any of the previous 6 games, I wrote the notes on the right-hand side, so you can just grab it and read what the notes were. So Lakers, they beat this team by 9 points earlier. They have won this game the last back-to-back times. They have New Orleans on deck, coming off a nice win against Golden State. Could have a letdown. The Golden State game was pretty significant. Hachimura was in the starting lineup. Russell was in the starting lineup. and then you have Schroeder, and then they won without LeBron, I believe. I don't think LeBron played that game. No. So is LeBron going to play in this game? He's out for Monday, which is interesting. And the Blazers lost to Oklahoma City, but they had beaten Golden State as well. The question is, how do the Lakers do without LeBron? The funny thing is, I think they actually end up losing this game. And the line opened up for this game at 2.5, and it's remained steady. I think long term, the Lakers will probably make the playoffs. But I think for this game, it's easy to forget that Portland, beat Memphis and Washington and beat Golden State at home. It's a tough place to play. So it's a very difficult game. Normally, Portland games are around the 235 to 240 range, and Laker games are around the same range of 235 to 240. The public likes the over here as well. It's a difficult game. I can't give you a side because I think the Lakers play well without LeBron. What else do you expect the blind to be except 2.5 in this game? You expect it to be that low. I do think this game might go under, only because Portland gave up 138 points in their last game. So lean on the under. The Blazers gave up, nearly how many points? Nearly 140 points last game. The Lakers will pride themselves on defense. And I think this game has a decent shot. The under. If I had to take a side, maybe Blazers, but I lean on the under more. All right. So there is your games. As far as Texas Tech, what do I think about the total? I thought that total was pretty high, so I actually lean on the over in that game, Ninja, for what it's worth. Elon versus Hampton. For Elon or Hampton, I thought that Hampton could be an active dog, so I like the over in that game. Bulls versus Magic. Should I take the Bulls? That's our premium Doc Sports selection. That's our 7-unit selection, so I can't talk about that much. As far as the Jazz and Pacers are concerned, I lean on the Jazz there. As far as Brandon, that's our 7-unit selection. I can't really talk about it, or else our other clients will get upset. But Travis, Atlanta, Charlotte. Yeah, the lean is on the over in that game, Travis. I wrote the notes up top there. Hi, IC. Denver versus Miami. Denver versus Miami. The lean is on the under in that game. And let's see. And I think that is about. Yeah, that was a wild play, James. If it wasn't for that one big run, we would have had him. That was after he got injured, too. Hampton has covered a bit. There you go. That's what we have for you guys. West Virginia, Matthew, that's our free play today on the daily video. So you can watch that video. That video is already up. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today. I think there's about 10 games in there. And I'll sell back here on the daily video tomorrow. YouTube Premium, of course, is very similar to this. We talk about 2 extra games in like a teaching channel format. I'll see y'all later. Take care.